Good to see you guys. This is it, the big movie.
Holy smokes, we're doing it.
It is happening.
The big movie.
Oh, yeah.
How strange is this really to get to this point from where you guys started?
It's our master plan is working. Yep. It's all working out. That's what my dad says that all the time. He's like, "Can you believe that you're in TV and movies?" And I'm like, "Yeah." That was the whole game plan from day one.
Yeah, you don't move to LA for no reason.
Yeah.
You know,
this is what was planned. The fact that it's actually happening is pretty crazy.
But could you imagine if you would have said, let's say 8-10 years ago, here's what all of us buddies are going to do, and you were saying this to people, and this is, everybody would have locked you up. It's such a long shot to do this as a group.
Totally, yeah. No, I mean, when we did the first season of Workaholics, we were filming at the house. The house we filmed at was where we were living, and because we were like, this show is gonna fail after season 1, so we might as well get our rent paid, you know. Like, production will pay for that.
Yeah.
So we very much did not know.
We'll save up, maybe get a slightly better place with less rats.
Yeah.
fewer rats.
And now this is a real big budget movie. This is a big
$200 million.
$200 million.
No, I'm lying. That man thought I was being real. It's like, wow.
Not true. They did not.
Overspent for you guys.
And that was just for Shaggy.
Just Shaggy salary.
Yeah.
Big quote.
But it really is like a large action movie.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys weren't fucking around, this is an action movie.
Yeah. That's how we approach it. I mean, we approached it like action first, and then like hopefully we'll be funny as well.
Yeah.
Well, we wanted, we keep saying that like Arnold, Stallone, and Jean-Claude Van Damme raised us.
Right.
So, so we kind of grew up with the 80s and 90s action movies. So we wanted to make something like that, and turns out no one would put us in that movie.
Nope.
So
which is weird.
We had to make it
Who
ourselves.
we are.
Yeah.
You know.
But all those movies had an element of comedy, just not as much as you guys have brought to this.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, and sometimes accidental.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes there's some fun accidental comedy in those.
What was the when you guys were living together? Were you guys watching movies and commenting on them all the time as well, or?
Yeah, like we had a gigantic big screen TV that was one of those old projector big screens from the back that we got on Craigslist for $100. And
100,000 pounds.
Yeah. And we watched, all the hits, the Lethal Weapons, the Die Hards. We smoked a lot of weed, so
I was
entertain ourselves.
We did have the one day where we decided to watch The Last Boy Scout, which is Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis. We watched it for 24 hours.
24 hours straight.
Yeah.
I don't know why. We're just like, let's do this. It was probably the weed.
It was probably the weed.
Yeah, it was probably the weed.
I didn't live there.
You missed all the experiences.
Yeah.
He had a girl that loved him.
Yeah.
Lucky.
We made our own
Yeah.
movies.
What?
Nothing.
I'd watch that.
But, Last Boy Scout is one that didn't hit with the audiences, and yet there seems to be no reason for that, right? I mean, that one seems right in line with all the other ones.
It's pretty good. I feel like it'll have a resurgence.
Yeah.
If anything, maybe we could remake The Last Boy Scout.
That's our sequel. We'll just do that one instead of
Next Boy Scout.
Next Boy Scout, or son of.
Yeah.
Now, you guys had every intention of making a movie. You brought it up during the Workaholics run, but everybody expected it to be a Workaholics movie.
Gotcha.
Suckers. We played those characters for 7 years, and we kind of were like, we want to do something else. If we wanted to keep doing Workaholics, like we weren't canceled. Comedy Central wanted to keep the show going, and we were kind of done with playing those three characters.
Yeah, and I remember because in writing this movie, we started like 5-6 years ago, and when we were first coming up with the idea, I was kind of like, this just feels very similar to Workaholics. Like, I don't know, I wish we were branching out more or whatever, but actually I feel like it's coming out like at the exact right time when people are kind of like, hey, I miss those Workaholic guys. So I think it's going to feel the right amount of it's us, but it is different.
It'll be a good segue. I mean, it's still like a three-headed monster that we are, and then in the next movie, maybe we'll switch it up. So it'll be like two dudes against one guy. You know, we can kind of switch it up.
We're planning on lots of follow-up movies, but I think people need to see this one first.
Yeah.
Well, it is really funny, and I do agree that anybody who liked Workaholics is going to love this movie. But also, at the same time, I mean, you do bring an element of violence to this. There's some really big stunts in this, and would you have been able to get away with that if you were still playing the boys? No.
There's not a world where those guys would come out alive.
That would have been a weird episode for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just.
Adam would have joined the bad guys.
These guys are cool. They're on the right side of history for sure.
Yeah. I like their agenda.
Yeah, we wanted it to be that you're actually really scared of the bad guys and have the deaths be pretty raw and gruesome. Because when someone has their face sliced off in a meat slicer in real life, pretty disgusting. Yeah.
Can't shy away.
So we showed that.
By the way, I don't think that's ever been used before, right? No one's ever thought meat slicer.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
You're welcome, world.
Yeah.
But I guess that is one of the things that you have to think of. What do we put these guys in that no one else has ever had to deal with before?
Yeah, and we really just wanted to make sure to ratchet up the stakes because, we did 7 seasons of Workaholics where it's just kind of like, just dudes being dudes or whatever. So we just wanted to take it to that movie level.
What about Kyle, in directing this? This had to be a lot more pressure on him than probably anybody else,
And
right?
we put it on him.
Yeah. We're like, this is on you.
Bring it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There might be a Pitch Perfect 4 that I'm trying to get involved in. You won't have anything after this. Yeah.
Aka violent. No, we've been working with Kyle forever. And what's funny is that in TV, you're kind of encouraged not to be very ambitious. It's like you're a hired gun. You come in, you kind of fall in line, you shoot the episodes, how they do it, and then you move on to the next show.
Director, yeah.
But as a director, in movies, it's yours. You know what I mean? So he would always try and stretch the dollar on our show and put us in these crazier situations than we thought we needed to be doing for whatever the episode was. So he really got to stretch out on this one.
Yeah.
But also imagine, just keeping every day up. He's not going to have as much fun as anyone else. I've been on those kind of sets where you can see the stress happening all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely got hemorrhoids from it, right?
Yeah. He wouldn't shut up about his hemorrhoids.
Yeah, it's like, just go for it. And if the movie failed, we would have thrown him under the bus. So it was pretty much a lose-lose for the guy, but he came out smelling like a rose.
So when you're putting something like this together, you all kind of spitball ideas before you write it up, right?
Yeah.
Who's more likely to have the most far-out ideas that...
I would say Durs is the most insane. He'll be the one to push the envelope, though, probably the furthest.
Yeah. I because so we all kind of go what's the idea? Then I go off and I fill in some of the blanks, and I like to swing for the fences so that these guys aren't like, hey man, this is pretty lame. I like to swing for the fences so they go, hey, that's crazy, perfect, or let's dial it back and make it this.
But could it be crushing if someone says, I don't know, I don't want my dick out in this movie, or
we're not that kind of friend group.
It's not an option.
Weirdly, I never had that issue. I was like, dick out.
Yeah. I mean, writing that, I was like, okay, this will be funny. We can shoot it both ways, or one way, or whatever. And then when we got up to Canada, it was just like, yeah, this dick's out.
Yeah,
the dick's out. I didn't want to have a prosthetic dick.
Yeah.
Only because my dick's out in this movie, guys.
For quite a bit.
Yeah, 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I fist fight a man.
It got 4th billing.
Yeah.
On the poster.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to have to talk about this dick a lot. And if I have a prosthetic, people are going to be like...
It's right there.
People are going to be like,
It's in here.
there he is. It's in his pants. People are, why did you get a prosthetic? Is your dick that small that you're so embarrassed by it? So now what sucks is like now I can't make jokes either way about my penis. I can't make like, oh, I've got a big one or I have an incredibly small one. Now everyone's going to know I have the most normal. We're like, oh yeah, no, we know exactly what you're working with. It's the most regular dick you've ever seen.
It's probably the biggest bummer that it's not coming out on a big screen because it looks really good in theaters.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's good.
Yeah, we've screened it a few times, and it looks its best on a 40-foot screen.
Yeah.
But I thought that was the funniest thing about this. This is like a big theater movie.
Yep.
You know, but you're not showing it anywhere before you go.
Well,
to
we're going to
Netflix?
have some premieres, and there are a few screenings scheduled around the country. But it's a Netflix movie, and Netflix, obviously it comes out on Netflix. That's the whole business model.
Right.
Have you guys heard of Netflix?
But like we grew up with theater movies, and obviously when we wrote this and we're gonna make it, we're like, okay, so this is gonna be a big action theater movie. And then Netflix just came to us with the most open arms and cash and budget wise, so we could really do what we wanted to do. And there was a little bit of like, it's gonna be on TVs and phones or whatever. But like people's home theaters are off the chain now.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah, that's the difference. Is like my TV growing up sucked,
Right.
and now like everyone has like a 60-inch television, and if you don't,
Upgrade your
you're
lifestyle.
poor.
But no, even phone screens are like legit. But it's a whole different model, and the outreach. Like everyone has Netflix. It's crazy. So it'll be in your living room, zero excuses. Even if you just finish watching a movie, in 10 seconds, our movie's going to start.
It'll just start playing.
It won't be up to you.
Yeah, that's what's kind of scary. Is like there's no excuses. Like my aunt who doesn't even like me. You know who you are. She will have to see this movie, and if I catch her and she doesn't, I know she truly hates me.
Right.
As much as I kind of think she already does.
The movie might make her hate you more.
Yeah. Thanksgiving's going to be weird this year.
But you also don't have that stress of what's the opening weekend going to be like. I mean, really, as soon as they greenlit this, you were a hit as far as being a performer goes.
Yeah, it's kind of nice not having to worry about that because it could. I've had movies come out where they did okay, but maybe not as big as one would have thought, and then people look at that and go like, "Oh, that wasn't the hit," and it's like, I made $18 million its first weekend. It wasn't not a hit.
Right.
But what's cool about Netflix is you just have to worry about whether people like the movie and whether you're happy with the movie. And you won't have to worry about what it makes that first weekend, which you have no control
They're obsessed with that now. Like opening weekend, like people who like regular people who aren't even in the business care and like read about it. And it's so weird. It's like, what about longevity? You know what I mean? Like there's a ton of movies like Zoolander didn't kill it out the gate, but then it became like a classic to me.
Well, comedy is not Black Panther. You know what I mean? Like comedy doesn't have this, everybody's waiting and there's this big swell.
I like to think we're the Black Panther comedy.
I feel a lot of people
been
are saying that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that.
Pick a newspaper up, man.
But, comedy is, my friends told me to go say it. You know what I mean? Like, because I think there's more of a factor of that. Like, you really want a comedy to be good.
Yeah.
Where an action movie can be just an action movie and you're like, watch it.
Yeah. Well, comedy's very specific. Not everyone is going to laugh at all these jokes, but we laugh at it. And we with Workaholics, we found a lot of people who laughed at that. So we feel like we got some people out there that'll like it.
I guess when you guys started Workaholics, there was no real Netflix like this, right? We're only looking at the last couple of years. Yeah. And if you think of generations before, they didn't have to work with a changing technology. YouTube is what first got you guys noticed, which didn't really work a couple of years before you started to do these things.
Yeah, we definitely came around at a time when everything's changing and changing quickly, and we had to adapt with what we were doing. Luckily, like we were like the right age to quickly adapt. Like, you know, by the time we got Workaholics, we had done years of YouTube and making those videos, and we kind of got our legs underneath us before we had the TV show.
Right.
Yeah.
If YouTube came out now, I mean, people are talking about like, you should get on Snapchat. I'm like, I would if I could figure it out.
Yeah. We're too old now.
It's not happening.
And it was, I mean, those years of making videos on YouTube were so like important to us growing as like, I guess, filmmakers, you know, you just have to know so much about how everything works that it really helped translate through our
that
whole
you just
career.
call us filmmakers. That makes me feel all warm inside.
Right? I think we are officially.
We did. We made one. Yeah.
That's
Now
cool.
people have to call us that.
Yeah.
But immediately it was like, we want this thing to be a hit, because people in those early days of YouTube had no real idea how to go viral. You know what I mean? There was...
And we did not go viral. We
Yeah.
were not like a super successful internet group. We got lucky in that way that like we just were seen by the right people at Comedy Central, but we are really bad at promoting ourselves.
Yeah. Of that kind of stuff. Well, it is the type of thing that, like, the stuff that really went viral on YouTube, and still to this day for the most part, was like cats farting, you know, like, and we've tried really hard to get to fart.
Squeeze these cats. And then police came. It was a thing.
It was a thing. But
ringing them
Why are you squeezing these cats?
it's hard to like we liked to make like little stories, and on YouTube that doesn't, it's better if they're just quick standalone wacky weird things.
Yeah, I also think that was kind of helpful to us. Our comedic sensibilities, we were always very into like, having stories with beginning, middle, and end, you know, which is important for a story.
Yeah.
So when you guys are young, did you bond over certain filmmakers? Was there like that sense of, oh, we all know where we're coming from with this?
Yeah, I mean, we all love like Tarantino, and I think like that we like how he it was raw and violent and insane, but also all of his movies have comedy, whether you're like, Django is a pretty intense movie, but you're still laughing when someone gets shot, the amount of blood that comes out of that person.
Right.
Yeah.
It's comedy blood.
Yeah. I also remember us really early on bonding over Foot Fist Way. It was Danny McBride movie that was just like, oh, this is the funniest movie we've ever seen.
But what's cool is like, I'm 3 years older than these guys, and I'm the youngest in my family. So I grew up watching like older movies like Caddyshack era and like those movies, whereas those weren't really at the top of your guys' list.
No, I'm more of a Austin Powers baby.
Yeah, baby.
But so like Adam likes Sandler and Farley, and you like Sinbad and more like
Jim
more
Carrey.
niche comedies. So we come together with a lot of different comedic sensibilities, but we respect each other's sensibilities. And I think that helps create like a weird little hodgepodge.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool when Durs would like initially, he's like, well, you know, like on Mr. Belvedere, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
I have no clue.
Constantly referencing
Always constantly referencing Mr.
harkens back to Mr. Belvedere.
Pretty amazing.
Silver spoons. I don't know what you're talking about.
He had a
Andres.
train in his house. How can you not know?
But it is funny, like when you're coming into thing, 3 years is a big difference when you're young. You know what I mean? That's a senior and a freshman.
And technologically, like I didn't have a cell phone in high school. I think I got it my senior year in college, and I didn't have Facebook in college. And then everybody who's their age had all that shit. So it's like the way you were operating was completely different than I did.
That is stunning, man, because the generation gap used to be, you know, a 25, but people that are, I don't know, like say 25, 26 now have a totally different reference point.
It's crazy.
Than you guys. And yet, I still think that they like 90s nostalgia, even if they weren't there for it. You know, it's very odd.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of that is because, like, just stuff doesn't die anymore. Like, the Ninja Turtles are still out there. Star Wars is haunting every corner of the, you know, it's like all the stuff that I liked is just still
there's
here.
almost no nostalgia anymore because it's just still here.
Yeah. And it is odd though the way like people talk about Star Wars and they'll go like, I'm a nerd, I'm into Star Wars. I'm like, that's the biggest fucking thing that's ever happened. You know, it's like saying you like air at this point.
What's cool is if you had any nerdy sensibilities in like the 90s, that's the coolest thing now.
I know Star Wars is getting you laid now.
Yeah.
Whoa. It's like, holy smoke.
Yeah, everyone's like, you like football? Loser. Oh my God. Wedgie.
Yeah.
We can't. You're stronger than us.
But I think that the stuff that you do always seems like it has an outsider's edge. Did you guys feel like that growing up? Did you feel like...
Yeah, a little bit.
I felt like, especially when we were doing comedy, we were never like in the inner circle of what was of the cool comedy kids.
Yeah.
So I felt like we're always kind of just doing our own thing outside of it, and then somehow someone like let us in a side door.
Yeah, I always thought that was kind of funny too when we would meet each other's like friends that we like grew up with back home.
Yeah.
Like we all kind of get along with our friend groups from way back because we all sort of like came up with the same like, you know, like the 5 guys that you just hung out with every day and just made stupid videos with. Like we all had very similar stories in that way.
Yeah, when I met Blake day 1 of community college in improv class, and after class we both like just gravitated towards each other like, hey, you're funny, you too. And it's like I made videos with my friends in high school 4 months ago. Do you want to watch each other's videos?
Want to have like a little film festival?
Yeah, we had like a little video off the first day we met each other.
Yeah, but
And then I just showed you a video of me and my friends drinking.
Yeah, you're like, you've got to see this. I'm like, I'm in.
whoa,
This is
you
my
went
dude
to-
Gorf.
you
Watch
went
him
to
fall.
real college? That's cool.
I just went to University of Wisconsin. We're like, you're the smartest man alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You graduated from a university.
Don't tell them.
Human genius.
Now, but those guys that you grow up with, they help your comedy sensibility as much as anybody.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's always odd, right, that you think, okay, one of those guys decides that, yeah, I can make a living doing that, and the other guys will just go to work.
Yeah, my best friend, Zach, is like super funny guy, cannot believe that I'm doing this well. Like, doesn't get it. He's like, but you're not funny.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. I disagree. I think people think I am. And he's like, I'm funnier than you. And I'm like, well, maybe you should have written something.
Right.
You lazy fuck.
Yeah. I feel like all my friends are funnier than me, but like maybe that made me desperate enough to like pursue it as a career.
You're like, I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
We're just the ones that wrote it down.
Yeah. It's just all about like, I guess it's about taking the risk and like just leaving your mom's house, you know,
Right.
because a lot of my funniest homies still live with their parents.
Yeah. Which is funny.
It
a
gets
life
funnier.
bit. Yeah,
It's a whole life bit.
Almost sad. We're close. We're
We're
close.
getting to the age almost.
Yeah.
No, we're there.
Still funny.
But that is, you know, there's somebody out there who's probably the funniest person who ever lived, and they have no idea that you could make money doing that's a skill set.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I don't know. There is definitely something to be said for like navigating the industry as well. It just takes a bit of, you know, just being a little fake with people or whatever, or whining and dining. That I know my buddy
too
John
real.
Paul is not about to, you know,
Yeah.
he's not changing for anybody. It's just
Was Comedy Central the first big pitch that you guys had, or did you go and fail at some other places before that?
I think Comedy Central was the first one that felt very real.
Yeah.
We'd done a few others that were like, there's no way in hell they're going to give us anything. And they didn't.
We were right.
Yeah.
We knew the business.
But Comedy Central, it was like, it just immediately, it just was like, we're going to get a show here. Like, we came in the room and everyone's laughing like before we started.
yeah.
Which is a good sign that they're going to give you money.
yeah, it's probably my dumb hair.
It was there.
I like your hair, Blake. You know what?
But again, it was like the internet boom content era of like, there's a new website and they're giving this much money to make 1-minute videos, and we would go in and pitch more of those kind of things, and it was again a lot of no's.
But I do think like our ignorance to the whole industry really helped us in selling to Comedy Central, because we just came in like not realizing like maybe this is the shot, you know. It was just kind of like we're being just us in the room, and that's kind of what has.
When we had this, our one set of videos that went viral, where we had an entire album that we came out with, where we were gangster rapping wizards from another realm. Straight out of Mordor, Purple Magic. It's on iTunes,
Spotify. Get your listen on.
Yeah, get your listen on. And we had made some videos of that, of us dressed as wizards. We had a cartoon wizard rap that we put out, and we were like, this is it. Not the relatable Workaholics, but this wizard. So we went in, and Comedy Central, we had done a web series that was basically Workaholics, and they were like, we love this idea of you guys living together and working together. And we're like, yeah, totally. But what we're really excited for are the wizards. And they're like, great. Definitely don't mention that when you meet with the president.
We're like sliding CDs across the table to them, like an offer.
We brought CDs in. We're like, we'll do the rap right now. Do you want us to rap?
We have the costume.
We have the costume.
A 1 and a 2 and a, rap.
Straight out of Mordor, 4 more wizards come to Mordor.
There you go.
I'll do it.
We got to keep going.
I don't remember the rest.
So it definitely, in your mind, was going to be a lot more broad than what it turned into. But it seemed like the Workaholics would have thought that the Wizards was going to be a way out too.
They're in an episode where our characters are rapping wizards. They made it.
Finally made it.
Yeah. So how long were you shooting this before you thought, okay, this, Workaholics is going to work for a while?
Well, we did the first season, and none of us left LA, so you don't really know. Like, it came out in April, and people are stopping you, and you're like, oh, it's on TV, and like, so people are noticing. And then we went to Bonnaroo that year in June, and it was like pretty like. People were chasing us, like Bonnaroo were like, we have to give you security. Like they
thought we had drugs on us.
They're like, we have to pat you down. And it was then that I was like, oh, actually, like enough people are watching this that we might get to make, a few seasons.
Yeah, because even before that, remember we did like South by before the show even came out, but they had us like coming out and like introducing bands at the festival, and we would just get like booed immediately.
Well, the show wasn't out yet. I remember we were introducing TV on the radio, and oh my god! And we were going to introduce TV on the radio, and what was the
Yo Gabba Gabba?
Yo Gabba Gabba. Yeah, they go real quick. You will not be introducing TV on the radio anymore. You're going to be introducing Yo Gabba Gabba, and then they will be introducing TV on the radio.
Like so costume mascots.
Not only did we have to go out there and introduce Yo Gabba Gabba, no one knew who we were, so they're booing us before we introduced Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yeah, and then
they were pumped on Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yo Gabba Gabba got quite an applause.
On the other side, though, when we had finished filming season 1, we had to wait for South Park to come back because they're like the big lead-in for new shows on Comedy Central. So we just like were sitting there waiting, and Comedy Central was like, you know what? Start writing season 2. Which was a huge vote of confidence. Yeah. We were like, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And we definitely took advantage of that opportunity and got really good at playing ping pong.
Yep.
That's Yep. We do. It took us extra weeks to write season 2 because we just really spent some time on the ping pong table.
It's true.
But those earliest days of pushing something like Workaholics, that's the toughest promotional work that you've ever had to do.
This last week was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear my voice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hard to drum up support when like none of us had any sort of recognizable name or face. I don't think there was a ton of people that saw my Taco Bell ad and was like, we've got to check out this guy's TV show.
But to be fair, there were a couple.
Yeah. Anders, you had that thing early on with Patrice O'Neill on the red carpet, which is kind of...
Let's clear this up.
Yeah.
I feel like this has had a whole life outside of me that people keep bringing up.
Well, that's because Patrice did at the time, I think.
What? Yeah, I remember people were like, "He's talking about you." I'm like, "That's awesome."
Yeah.
What are they talking about? And they're like, "How like?" And then somebody sent me the Opie and Anthony clip. So we had been asked to host the Comedy Central roast red carpet, and there was not room on one stage for 3 people and whoever they were going to interview. So I got relegated to the back, right, by myself. So the running bit of the night was they were super excited, and I was like, "Yep, I'm still way back here with this guy," and Patrice didn't know that,
Right.
and was just like, "See, this is why it's lazy." And I'm like, "All right, well, you're Patrice O'Neal, go for it." And then he was like, "They're talking about like hipster comedians," and I'm like, "Have you met me? Do you know me? Take my name out your mouth."
So to you, it was nothing at the time, and even to the viewing audience, you felt like it was nothing, but just Patrice kept working this story.
It blew my mind. I was like,
this
is so crazy.
Well, I think he was mad that he didn't have a TV show, and then 3 guys that he didn't know had a TV show, which I get. He was famous, and he didn't have a show, and then 3 guys he's never heard of before got a show. And then
That's the world.
Yeah. But what I like about it is now that he died, he's become this kind of mythical thing. So it's almost like you had a fight with James Dean. Or,
yeah, totally.
I know. You're saying this, and I'm like, are people really talking about this? This is so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely why. I feel like if he was still around, it would have been.
He just didn't know the context and was like, by the way, and he's super hilarious. So I was like, all right, go, like, lay into me.
Yeah, he would have shit on tons of other people, and
I didn't care.
Yeah,
I still don't care.
Yeah.
He's the man. R.I.P.
But those are the kind of things that you go through at different points of your career, right? I mean, those kind of things can flash up at any moment.
Yeah, it's cool. We're just excited that anyone would even mention our names.
Yeah.
So
it was tight.
Yeah. So if people want to shit on us,
Well,
come at me, bro.
By the way, another thing, the other 2 dudes on the radio show that he was going on were like going off like they knew me too. It was so weird. I was like, did they watch Workaholics? Like, we are, if anything, they're like these fucking hipster comedians. I'm like, I get more shit for being like a bro comedian from hipsters. So it was just like,
It was just
we
so
need to find a
early.
home.
Call me
Are we
up.
bros or are we hipsters?
Call me up.
I don't know.
It was just all so early.
All the lines are blurred.
It was tight.
Yeah. I think it was just early in the process. Nobody knew that we were like really serious about the comedy game, and we respected and everybody doing it out there.
Serious about this comedy.
Yeah,
game.
man.
Patrice was my favorite guy on Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn.
Yeah.
But I this morning as we're doing this, I was watching the news hammering Jim Carrey over a painting that he had done.
I know.
Yeah.
He does so many paintings.
Yeah.
If anything, we just need to be hammering him on the new Dumb and Dumber movie, and not his paintings.
Right.
But that's the thing about comedy too. Don't you think it's very tough for anybody to sustain, their comedic chops? No matter who you're looking at a certain point, you're like, man, you used a lot of the paint.
Well, and also, like, the more successful you get in the industry, the less relatable you get to the, know, and a lot of comedy just comes from relatability. Like, I don't know if Jim Carrey's lifestyle is anything like mine at all. He's like all the way up here and has been for quite some time. So, it's hard.
And that's why we've demanded that we don't make as much money as Jim Carrey.
Right.
They keep trying to give me $20 million checks, and I'm like, no, I've got to be one with the people. I cannot. Please don't pay me that much.
Yeah.
Comedy, a lot of comedy is about like surprise, and like when there's somebody new on the scene, they have moves you've never seen before, and it's like a new boyfriend or girlfriend. You're like, whoa, that sex was unbelievable. Sooner or later, you know the moves, and you're like, all right, I need something new.
Yeah, now he's spinning around.
And now he's spinning around.
As a comedian, I make hard rights.
But so then, like, it's always pretty unbelievable when you can see somebody
I have sex with dudes. I have to admit it. I have to come out with it here.
When you see somebody like have a second career or whatever, like Bill Murray did like a great little pivot where he was like, the fun party guy, good time dude, the guy you want in your corner, like when you're having a party, a good time. And then all of a sudden he became like this curmudgeon and had like the second chapter, and you're like, how did he do that? That's so cool. He was the most fun guy. Now he's like the most over it dude.
Yeah.
But it works perfectly.
Yeah.
I bet he just got over it.
Yeah.
He's just like, hey, I know my next move. Yeah. Are you filming?
But you guys have also been able to break out and do stuff on your own. That when that first started happening, did you guys also think, hey, is this going to stay together as we keep getting offers to do stuff separately?
Yeah, I kind of think. I don't think we ever thought the band was going to break up. We went and did other things. If anything, it just gave us more ammo for like fun talk shows where they get to make fun of me for being in singing movies.
And
Always got to take that shot.
Yeah.
the other thing is when you go and experience other sets, it's like it makes you appreciate these guys, you know, like what I always worried about with Workaholics was like, whoa, this is my dream. Like, it doesn't get better than this. I'm making a show that I feel is really funny with my best friends, and my director is also my best friend. Like, where do I go from here? So it's kind of like, that's my goal. So I'd like to keep living in that world.
It's also cool when we first started to go to other sets, you come back and you're like, guys, they do it like this over there.
You can bring that back to the group.
The food's better, but it sucks.
Yeah. But it is funny, like at the time, let's say when the Beatles broke up, they didn't know that they didn't have to break up. You know what I mean? Like now we realize bands you could take 2, 3, 4 years off. But back then they're like, well, I got this other opportunity, so I guess the band's gone.
Yeah.
You know?
We're exactly the Beatles of comedy, and thank you for bringing that up.
Ringo. No, we plan on sticking around for a while to the point where you guys don't want to see us anymore.
Right.
You know, and we're all old and crusty and doing our Bill Murray impression.
Yeah.
Well, again, to go back to Kyle and what he brings to this, because he's not here today. But what is that he's able to do with you guys? What is it that he's able to do with the comedy?
Kyle, I think Kyle's strongest suit is he's able to take what we do and like he knows where to push us. If we're improvising something, he'll come in and go like just go deeper into that, and he knows our strengths so well, so he's able to really push us in a certain direction, and also he makes things look way better than they should look.
Yeah.
He's really good at stretching whatever dollar you have and making it seem like, our shit is more expensive than it actually is.
Totally, which was huge in us, like, jumping off, because like when we made the initial like pilot presentation, it looked awesome, and we had like very little money. They were initially like, just make like a presentation, 15-minute thing or whatever, and when Kyle saw the amount of money we were getting, he's like, we could like make 2 movies with this. It's like, whoa.
Like, Kyle, we cannot get back in your cage. No, he rocks. He's also just like such an open, warm dude that like somebody like me who is like less brave than these 2 maniacs, he makes me feel comfortable to be like, okay, I can also be a total buffoon.
Yeah,
right.
You know,
he's actually a good person, which is cool.
Yeah.
I hate him, but great director.
Yeah. Well, he spun on you that one time.
Yeah, he
Sexually, remember that?
did. Yeah, he did. What did I say? Bring it from the back or something?
Spun around the back.
But your initial thing is to not be a zany, right? For you like your own personality.
Yeah, I come from a home of shame.
Yes. Yeah.
And rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm a little bit more reserved until after midnight.
Yes.
Wild man.
Ow.
So where does
put water
this
on 'em.
Where does this go now? Can you even have a real plan for what you guys started, or you just have to keep riding it out?
Yeah, I mean, it's always it's like riding a wave, man, and you're on the surfboard of comedy. No, we have some ideas for other movies that we would like to do, and we hope to just keep it going and kind of we've built out this world with our with our friends, and we have other friends that we'd like to make movies with, and we hope that this is like the first step in us making a lot of, you know, movies together. It's cool how comedy comes up in like crews, where it's like Adam Sandler and his crew, and Will Ferrell and his crew, and Seth Rogen and his crew, and then, you know, they branch off and
Bob Hope and his crew. It goes back.
It
goes back.
Was he Mr. Belvedere?
Oh my God. We'll talk about it later.
Now, Seth is a producer
Yep.
on this. What does he bring to the table?
Ganja.
Truly.
Brings that good stuff. Bro.
He brings experience. I mean,
Yeah.
Adam was saying this the other day, like, we're TV dogs and he's a movie dog. So he's just kind of showing us the ropes as far as like from like story stuff in our script to editing. Like he's like, this whole thing can go, and you're like, yeah, I guess that can go. To like marketing stuff.
Yeah, we've never had to like really market a movie, and never had to deal with trailers and
Test screenings. He lives and dies by test screenings.
Yeah, he like really like encouraged us to do those, and like go in, and we improv'd a lot, and he's like, just go in and like watch the tapes back and listen to the laughs and see where you're lacking, and also just like trailer ideas and stuff like that. That's just stuff we've never had to deal with before.
Well, test screening has got to be, it's got to be difficult, because I think if you're doing something on stage, you're like, okay, this is the type of audience, I'll slow it down or I'll get a little crazier. But there, the product's already done, and you're watching that screening with them, and you don't know what kind of people they are. You're sitting there in the dark. Is this hurt sometimes when something that you think should land big doesn't?
Well, I think that's when it's helpful to have somebody like Seth, you know, who like you respect his taste, and like the proof is in the pudding. Like he's made really great comedy movies, so like to have somebody to like him be like, this was good and this was bad, it was helpful for sure. And
with those test screenings, like since we do so much improv, it was actually beneficial. Like if it for a drama or something, it'd probably be terrifying, where you never went off script and you just did what was on the page exactly. If something's not working, you're like, oh,
right,
fuck, it's just not working. But on, you know, with a comedy where you do a lot of improv, you can go, oh, that joke didn't work, let's put a new joke in.
Yeah, we had other jokes.
But even comedically, something that could be funny could take everybody out of the movie. So you can't even just go by the biggest laughs that you're getting, because you could be derailing the next 10 laughs.
Totally. And back to just improvising on set. So we have like bad guys that are supposed to be evil characters in this movie. And like when you're on a set and you see everyone improvising and having fun, like it's contagious and you want to jump in there and have fun. But like certain actors, you're in a role where you can't do that. And we had a guy who played a bad dude who's very, very funny and said very, very funny things. But then we had to go, hey, look, don't. Because now you're not a bad guy. And it's like, he has funny things in the movie, but like he can't be funny, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know?
We really wanted to keep the bad guys like actually scary and bad, to where you where the juxtaposition of them being like so horrific and mean cut to us, you know, being buffoons, it would hopefully play.
Yeah.
Well, you know, going back to Seth Rogen, there is a guy who's had all this success and seems to have kept his regular guyness about him, which is a really difficult thing to do once you can afford a mansion and a private jet. It's really hard to not just stay in the mansion and snort a bunch of coke. That's what I'm thinking.
I think he's constantly working. I mean, this dude is always working. Like we were working on something with him. I can't remember. Was it Neighbors? Maybe. And he was like, "Hey, you want to hang out in our trailer at lunch?" And we're like, "Cool, yeah, let's do it." And then we went in there and we just watched him work, which is cool. But he was like, we got to watch a cut of an animatic of this movie, Sausage Party, that they were like working on, and it was just like, oh, even at lunch, like you're grinding.
Yeah, but it was definitely one of those moments where it's like, oh, what's Seth gonna be like when we meet him? And then he was just exactly the coolest dude, you know? It's like,
Right.
Yeah, exactly what you thought you were going to
yeah,
get.
it's like, yes, this feels good.
But that I think his initial breakthrough was like 18 years ago. You know,
Right.
So it is stunning to think. You ever hear of like somebody who hits the lottery and then they go to work the next day and you're like,
Yeah.
why? You know?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about how he helped us because he's from the generation before us, and I'm like, he's 2 years younger than me. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
But he's been doing it. I mean, I think he was doing stand up when he was like 15, you know, and then he did Freaks and Geeks as he's like a child actor essentially. But he just always looked 40.
Yeah.
He did. He was like 19 when he shot the 40-year-old virgin.
Yeah.
He was 19 years old.
Chops.
Yes.
I still don't look that old, and I'm 34.
Yeah. And yet he doesn't seem like he ages.
Yeah.
He got
He was
old
there.
and then
Yeah.
stayed at
Yeah.
that plateau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the secret right
That's
there.
yeah.
That's the secret. Age your children and then keep them
And then
that
keep
way.
them there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were, you were talking about the way your friends look at what happened with you guys. How's the families feel about this whole thing?
Great. I mean, we're all going to be together at the premiere on what
All the
Wednesday?
family.
That'll be weird. Sit next to everyone during my dick out scene.
Yes, yes.
I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I'm like, there better be a camera on my mom.
Just do me a favor. Don't make eye contact with my mom. For like,
I'm gonna look directly in Cheryl Holmes' eyes.
Yeah, I'm gonna just be like this. I'm excited. That's my favorite part. That's what I've been. That's the goal.
I'm just gonna be hugging your moms from the after party, just eyeing you guys down.
Yeah. What if my mom is into you after that? Whoa. The rap party just gets really weird. Why is my mom trying to fuck Adam?
She's just going, you were really
You
good.
were really good.
I really liked what I
Really
saw.
liked
Oh my
it.
God. I'm
Let's
glad
just
I
say
saw
we were
it.
all impressed.
that was some part.
My stepdad's just in the corner, like, all right.
You do. Yeah.
It is oddly sad that male nudity gets a laugh, and you never see that with a woman.
I mean, dicks are hilarious.
Yeah.
They're
They're
just
so-
funny looking. They look like
are.
little sock puppets.
Yeah, little weasels.
Yeah.
Or big sock puppets.
Medium size. Well, we'll know.
All sorts of
You'll know.
sock puppets.
We'll find out.
We'll find
That's
out.
every review you'll be reading. Well, congratulations to you guys. It really is a long shot to do what you're doing, that you took this thing from improv classes and fooling around with each other to YouTube and then TV, and now, like I said, this is a really major film coming out on Netflix. So congratulations, seriously.
Yeah.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you guys.
Thank you
Thanks so much
Thanks.
for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Friday, March 23rd. Game over, man.
There we go.
Thanks, guys.
There we go.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.